You're listening to the One Step Deeper podcast with your host, Jimmy Moore and Brittany Davis. OneStepDeeperPodcast.com.
Oh, what's going on?
You caught me on a day that I am like in full on mom mode. Like we just got home from getting groceries and my brain is like all over the place. But yes, I'm good. How are you?
We say in the South, running around like a chicken with his head cut off.
That's it.
And actually, I can visualize that because I have 15 of them back there.
Yes.
They're some crazy birds. Yeah, today, a chicken hawk was trying to dive down to get them, and they were going berserko. Run, little ones, run, little feathered babies. So, yeah, they were safe. So today we have a great topic in store. Turning go ahead.
Turning your pain into purpose.
Pain into purpose. A lot of people, they don't see much good, much positive, much anything when it comes to pain. In fact, I would say that pain paralyzes most people. And rightfully so. Pain hurts. Like, pain ain't fun. And people go through this kind of thing, and you've inspired me a lot to kind of like dig even deeper inside myself and some of my writings that I posted on One Step Deeper lately. And I've talked about a lot of this kind of thing, that what was maybe meant to hurt you, you can turn it into something beautiful, even as you're still healing, even as you're not quite there yet.
Yeah, so turning pain into purpose is like the deepest of deepest, Brittany. Like this is me. This is totally me. This conversation, it goes so deep because I can dive into any timeline in my life, and I probably have gone through something horrific. And honestly, how many of us can do that? Probably most of us. We all have something when we're talking about pain. Something is now in your head. You're thinking about this one particular thing that's caused you pain over and over and over again. Perhaps you're not over it. And so I have taken all of these things in my life and just whenever I can, because it's not always in that very moment of when you're in the midst of the pain, when it hurts so bad, you can't see anything but the pain. You can't pull yourself out of it to see anything but the pain. But as I start to come out of it, I start to know, okay, what did this teach me? And that's a hard place to get to because pain hurts so much, it clouds your brain. Like, what can I learn from this? And that in that learning, that's when you start to develop your purpose.
And in the midst of the pain, your only inclination at that point is do whatever you can to get out of the pain, not to find purpose, not to do anything except pain I'm in now, not pain is the goal.
Yeah, so I say that there are 3 times in our life we are either thriving, we're striving so that we can thrive, or we're just surviving. And when you're in survival mode, you can't even begin to think about thriving. Like you can't jump the curve over striving. Like you have to literally, when you think of someone striving, like you have to push and pull like everything from back here. Like you just got to learn to let that go, or move forward with whatever you have. And it's a struggle to get there. But yeah, you're either thriving, striving, or you're surviving. And in that survival mode, it's not pretty always.
But survival is still here. Like I have people often will say, well, I'm surviving now and that's not good. I'm not. No, you're surviving. Like the alternative to surviving, after surviving, you don't want to think about. It's really dark stuff that pain leads people down in their head. And that's sadly like what a lot of people, especially over this past year, have been dealing with, is they've got past the surviving because they got tired of trying just surviving. I think there's a bit of insecurity in surviving of, wait, I want more. And when you let go of even surviving, that's when bad things happen.
Oh, yes. I've been there. Like I was so down and in so much pain this time last year. Like I was done. Like I'm good. I don't want to survive anymore. Like I just want to be done. And survival is messy. I don't like messy, and I don't know too many people who thrive in messy, but survival looks like different things for different people. Maybe it looks like, go ahead.
I was going to say survival is indefinite. And so if you're one of those people that likes to have an ending in sight, survival is, I don't know how long I'm going to have to hold on to this branch. And it doesn't look like it's going to hold much longer. It's starting to like crack up there. And I think that's what gets people in a tizzy is they're surviving for so long. They start to feel guilty about that. I should be better by now. Things should be happier in my life. What's going on? And so people give up right at the moment that they needed to maybe survive a little longer.
So survival turns us into what we consider the worst sort of people. But in my opinion, I think it just turns us into hurting adults and hurting people. Like we're just hurting so bad we don't know how to do anything about it. But when you think about people who are in survival mode, you think about people who are addicted to one thing or another. We can talk drugs, alcohol, food. There's so many different addictions that people can get addicted, and overly so, to exercising. And people may, oh, it's exercising, so it's good for me. But then you start developing, problems with tendons, and there's just so many things that we just attach to in survival mode, and it becomes an addiction and like trying to just get us through survival mode. But it's not to make you feel bad. Like survival, like I said, is messy. Whatever it looks like, just kind of grasp onto that branch, even if it feels like it's going to break, and just make it through. And it's painful. It's so painful because you don't know when it's going to end. And we can talk about pandemic here. We have no idea when this is going to end.
Right. And we've talked about that many times on this show and how that's mentally taxing on a lot of people. In survival mode, I think people feel this need to be doing. And the body, no. And I'll give you a real life example of this. I'm going through a situation in my own life I've talked about many times. Can't talk the details, but Brittany, you know all of it. And it's survival for me right now going through this. People are like, oh, get out there and exercise, go on an extended fast. And I'm thinking, you don't understand. In survival modes, the sympathetic nervous system is on overdrive in me right now. And it's everything I can do to get up in the morning, go through the motions of life, and go to bed at night.
Absolutely. And there's zero shame in that. But we always feel this internal, and me mostly, man, the times that Jimmy has had to coach me through and be like, calm down. It's okay. It's one day, maybe 1 hour. It's not your whole life. This is temporary. But it's okay to go through those days where you're just going through the motions and you're just surviving, because eventually it won't be that way. Eventually you'll be able to turn the page. Eventually you'll be able to say, okay, that was hard. I'm glad it's over. What can I do now that it's over? Now that I'm out of, when you're in the middle of a tornado, can't go outside and you work on your house. It's just, you have to wait and survive it.
Well, you could, but you're just for more damage. You shouldn't, is the answer.
Yes, exactly.
So take us back a year ago. And it was right about a year ago, you still sitting in a hospital. And you were in this lowest of low. You were literally in survival for your life. And you said in one of the early episodes of One Step Deeper, by the way, One Step Deeper podcasts, we just jumped right in and I forgot to introduce the show. One Step Deeper podcast, Jimmy Moore, Brittany Davis, onestepdeeperpodcast.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and all over where podcasts are. Hey guys, what's up? So, we go through the motions, and 1 year ago you were doing that. 1 year ago you were like holding on for dear life, hoping to God that you wanted to end your life. You admitted that in one of the early episodes, but you got past that. Can you walk us through, because I don't think you've ever told me this, because it was a meander. It wasn't this one day you were holding on and surviving and the next day thriving. Kind of walk us through that kind of process of the different ings you were mentioning earlier. And you kind of fluctuated back down and back up and back down, back up at times. Just tell us kind of that process for you, because we're talking about turning this pain into something beautiful in our lives. And how do you get to the beautiful?
I want to say before I start that that those three things, those ings, they're not linear. Like you can be one and the other in the same day. Like yes. So going back a year ago would mean I need to go back a year ago. A year ago, I was the healthiest I had ever been. I had lost 70 pounds. I was definitely thriving. I felt good in my body. I was happy. I was mentally in a really great place. I was exercising every day. It was a really good place for me at the time. And I had a routine, an injury. I had a hernia. Like, you don't think of these things like it was just a hernia. And so many people kind of said that to me of, oh, it's just a hernia, you'll be fine. And so I had the first surgery and I was in pain. I couldn't work out. I couldn't exercise. My body started fighting me on the way that I eat. And then by the second by the second surgery, when I was in the hospital for 24 days, everything just started shutting down. Like I couldn't stomach any food, no vegetables, no meat, no anything. Really, the only thing that I could keep down after I got out of the hospital was like bread, like a piece of bread. And that's, no secret. Like I do keto, like I do low carb. That's my thing. And if all I can eat is a piece of bread, it already starts mentally.
Survival mode doesn't care about your diet choice. Survival mode just says you do what you got to do to get through the day.
Yes. And many times when I was in the hospital, like I was just ready to be done. I was on so much morphine and I was still in pain. I was hooked up to so many tubes. I had a tube in my nose. I had 3 drains draining excess fluid off my body. Even though they were draining, I was so full of fluid that my legs were swollen. I couldn't walk because my legs were so swollen. And you just go through this thing in your mind, like, it's never going to end. And after you're in the hospital, like first my doctor was like, 5 days, you're going home. 6, 7, 8. I get to 11 days and I do go home. And I returned back like emergently. Like that was the night I really thought that I wasn't going to be here anymore. And so without getting too more grim, it was really rough. It was a really rough time for me. And so I get out of the hospital and I'm so excited. I've got my staples out. I'm still struggling to walk around, but I'm home at least. And so I start this trek of trying to strive, but I was still in survival mode and I was fighting just staying in survival mode.
Right.
And so I hired a coach. I started working out again, and she was specific for this type of thing that I needed. And I was doing okay. And then I just got slapped in the face again with pain, unbearable pain. And so I felt like I fell back into survival mode. And then I just got depressed. So depressed.
Do you think you put a timetable on your survival mode and that trying to strive to get to thrive? Do you think the timetable that you put on yourself set you up to not succeed? Or like, because I can imagine most people, especially when you're going through something as traumatic as you did with that surgery and almost dying, physically dying and in a lot of pain, you're ready to be in the striving mode, but really you needed to hold on a little longer and stay surviving.
Yeah, I was just so mad at the world. I was so mad at the world that I was at the peak of my health. I lost all this weight. I was doing all the right things. And then my body's like, nope, not anymore. And yes, I wanted to be in strive and thrive. I wanted to be there so bad I could taste it. And so mentally, most people struggle because physically, yes, they want to change, but mentally they're not there. I had all the mental. I'm like, please let me move. I want to move my body so bad I can't stand it. And my body said no. And I had never been in that position before. My body had always said, yeah, you probably should do this. And my brain was like, nah, we're good. We don't want to work out. But it was just turned me on my head. And so I was so depressed. I was so depressed most of the year, even though had some really cool things happen to me last year. I got a new house. I moved out of my small town. I still was so depressed, and I still struggle with that because my body's not where I want it to be. And that it all goes back to that turning that pain. I'm in the middle of turning what happened to me last year into a purpose. That's still in the make. I'm not fully past it yet.
And remind us of your word of the year.
Fruition.
Fruition. So fruition could be I guess a synonym for thriving.
Yeah. I kind of, and I haven't set like a certain thing, like pre-surgery, pre all of that. I wanted to be like mega lifter. I wanted to lift heavy and do all those things. And now realistically, that's probably not something that I'm going to be able to do with my type of injury that I have. But I can still chase healthy without it looking what I thought it would look like. I can still chase purpose in my life without it looking like what I thought it was going to look like. And that's, I think, another thing with this turning pain into purpose. You have to let go of what you thought it would look like.
Yes. And as we've been talking through this, and it always happens when we do these shows like this and on our personal conversations, you struck a thought in me. I think one of the things that keeps people stuck in survival in their pain is they think what they're going through is not as bad as someone else. So somebody would hear your story and go, oh my God, I wasn't in the hospital for weeks upon weeks upon weeks thinking I was going to actually die. So my issue really isn't that big of a deal, but it doesn't matter the severity, you guys. If you're going through something that has you stuck and not in striving to thriving, then it's holding you back, and it's pain that's preventing you from achieving your purpose.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we can take that so many different levels, but pain can look like so many different things. And like you were saying, you can never compare traumas. That's not something that don't ever do that. Never compare what you're going through to somebody else. You can maybe compare something that you're going through to something that you've already been through. Like, yeah, you can compare yourself to yourself. Never compare yourself to anybody else and what they're going through. And, oh, I wish I was like them. Don't ever say those words. Don't, because you have no idea what they went through to be the person that they are. Y'all, the people that be messaging me, telling me they want to be like me, I'm like, hold up. Don't put that in the universe. You don't want to put that out there.
As her best friend? No, you don't.
No, take it back. Take it back. I'm just pretend like you didn't say that.
She's wonderful on camera, and all the work you are wonderful, by the way. I'm not disparaging you. But she has her moments, let's just put it that way. The little polished version that you see on One Step Deeper. Yeah, I see the other side.
Yes. I think to be as deep as you and I go, to be able to do that, you have to tap into all of those emotions.
Yeah.
And I feel things so hard. I feel things so deep and so hard that that's where all the inspiration comes from. I have to tap into that. And so I get a little emotional and kind of get stuck there for a bit.
Well, and that's a great point, too, of this whole concept of turning the pain into purpose. Look at the pain. And as hard as it is going through it, whatever it is in your life, you can define pain physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, however you want to define it. And you've got this pain. In the moment, you're not seeing it, but there is a reason you've gone through that. At least there's a reason you can tell yourself that you've gone through that because of life circumstances leading to something else happening and eventually headed towards your purpose. And so I think anyone who's been through pain, you can turn that into purpose by seeing the bigger picture of it all. In the midst of it, and you and I've had conversations with you being right in the midst of it, I'm like, 10,000 foot view, what's it going to look like from there? Not right here. What's it look like from there? And you're like, damn it. Yeah, I can see that. And it changes everything. And it fast forwards you from survival and surviving into striving for thriving, and getting there and having that purpose sooner than later.
Yeah, so I'm a real life examples person. And so the biggest example that I have of in the mist, I didn't know what the heck was going on. I was so lost. I was so sad. I was just broken. I was in pain. To now I'm like, yeah, I'll take that any day over what I got now. And so when I was a teenager, I was like head over heels in love with this guy. I just knew we were going to end up together. I just knew we were going to get married. I was just, this was it. This was the one. That didn't work out. That didn't work out. And so I was so distraught for 9 months. I didn't go anywhere. I was in so much pain, and my family life was kind of crazy at the time, and just everything hurt. And then I met Wild Man. I'm like, yeah, I'll take that pain anytime to get this over here. Like, I'm good with that. But I didn't know he was coming, So in the middle of it, I was just like, nobody loves me, nobody likes me. I'm just gonna die alone. All those thoughts that you go through, and especially as a hormonal teenager, you can make something so small so big. But yeah, I mean, I had all of those thoughts, and then now I have Wild Man, and we've been married for 10 years, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful for that pain, and being having sexual things happen to me as a child, that shouldn't have happened. I am now, because of that, I'm hyper protective with my children, and I've started to teach them things that was never taught to me. And I am careful with them, and I monitor them. And also, I take all of that pain that I felt and I bring it here. I bring it here to let people know when you go through pain, sometimes it is to help somebody else, and maybe that's a hard thing to wrap your head around, but I've been through so much in my life. I feel like I have to share it because I know other people go through these same things, and they're just like, they think they're the only one, and they're not. All of us go through these painful things, and I want to be there for as many people as I can, and that's kind of turned into my purpose. All these things that I've been through just kind of get lumped together and go, listen, I am a ball of someone who has been through some pain. How can I hear you today? How can I listen to you? How can I be there for you?
Yeah, and the pain all along the way shifts you. And a lot of people say, well, that's God putting you in the direction he wants you to go. If you want to go the religious route, you could certainly do that. But certainly, I think it's undeniable that when you go through difficult, challenging, painful circumstances in your life, it has an indelible mark on your life. It has to. Now, you can go down a deep, dark path of further pain and negativity and maybe worse, or you can choose another path. So I guess in the moment, it's so hard to see the big picture. But when you're on the other side of it and you go, the hell was that? And then you go, okay. And I had that happen when I left the house at 17 and a half after being basically physically and emotionally abused for 3 years. I kind of had that, what was that kind of moment? And it took a long time to find meaning and purpose in life. Like, I'd say my entire late teens and my entire 20s was just a blur of survival, a blur of attempting to find myself on the other side of the pain. And most people doesn't take that long, but it took me that long. And so if you're watching us, listening to this, and you're going, I'm still in pain from something that happened many years ago, welcome to the club. It doesn't just disappear overnight. You're going to have to work through it in your own pace, in your own timing, and just know that at some point purpose does kick in. And then I finally found some purpose in my life out of that pain, and I'm continuing to find it. This podcast is a manifestation of that. I wanted to share this part of my life, as did you. So don't put a timetable on it, Miss Brittany.
Oh, for sure. And I was about to say, don't even think for a second that pain that you felt will never come back. Just because you are striving and thriving, because believe me, it will slap you so hard in the face. You're like, whoa, what the hell? Where did that come from? And it catches you off guard.
I just wrote a post about it as of today at the One Step Deeper Instagram page or One Step Deeper Facebook community. Go look it up. But I wrote a post all about that of, you could be rolling along, everything's great in your life, and then one little something triggers a memory, you hear a song. I heard a song on Alexa the other day when I was playing music. I'm like, why do I suddenly have a feeling of dread? And it dawned on me. It reminded me of my teenage years. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, it just suddenly was heavy and I was shaking and I'm going, what is wrong with me? And it triggered me. So just be aware of those things. And this is where also we talked about on previous episodes, knowing your triggers and learning how to deal with them, avoiding them as much as possible. I'm not going to stop listening to music, but Alexa, next song.
Yes, and so let's say you've gone through the pain and you've made it to that purpose. It helps you to continue to deal with that pain. And so I still have vivid memories of what happened to me as a child. Very vivid things. And if someone says a certain thing, or I hear a certain noise, or in particular loud noises are very triggering to me. Things like fireworks, balloons, they always set me off no matter what, because it was so loud in my household.
New Year's Eve, you were texting me like crazy. There they go, the bomb's going off, and I'm like, okay, we're here if anything happens.
Yes. And so for a little bit, I dipped back into survival mode just to get through all of the triggers that I knew were coming. But then I remember my purpose. I remember this happened to me, and maybe I don't have a definitive reason why that happened to me, but I'm going to use every single ounce of what happened to me, and I'm going to turn it around for the people who meant to hurt me and the people that meant to break me down, and for the things in life that meant to destroy me. Oh, hell no, you don't get that opportunity. You don't get that privilege. I'm sorry. Nope. Good luck. Good luck. I've been through a lot of shit in my life, and I'm still standing here, and I might have developed, a little Bianca to the side to try to make it through, but oh, I am still here, and I am surviving, and I move through those levels of surviving and striving and thriving. Just depends on what area of my life you're talking about. In my marriage, I feel like we're thriving. In my unschooling relationship with my children, we're a little bit on the survival striving mode. My relationship with Jimmy, we're always striving and talking to each other and learning more about each other and helping and one step deeper. I mean, personally, I think we're thriving, but but that's what I'm saying. Different levels of your life can look like different ways.
So in taking the pain to purpose, is it necessary to try to like vocalize and have as a goal what the purpose is, or should it be organic? How did it happen for you?
So it kind of happened through weight loss for me. When I was in weight loss, I started listening to a lot of people, my why. A lot of people started talking about find a why to anchor to when it got hard in weight loss. And so I really, really, really thought about it for a long time. Because when I first started to lose weight, just like most people I know, I wanted to lose weight because I was fat and ugly. You know what I'm saying? Which was not the truth. But that's what I was telling myself. And somewhere along the way, I had developed this why, and that was to rise. And it was so much more than just weight loss. Anytime life would knock me down, all right, I'm going to rise above it. Anytime life would come at me again, okay, I'm going to rise above it. Now, the number of times I've been knocked down, we've laughed and we've joked about my year 2020. My word of the year was elevate, and I didn't realize I was going to have to hit rock bottom in order to elevate. But so many times life is just, and to view it as not just being knocked down, but to view it as being planted. And every time that the dirt was pushed over me, that's okay. I'm just going to grow right through this dirt. And it just kept going, and it just keeps growing. And so for me, it started with that weight loss of, okay, I need something to anchor to when it gets hard in weight loss. But then it just became this big thing of, anytime life is hard, I have this why that I can go back to. Some people anchor to their children or, to their spouse, or they anchor to something else. But for me, my anchor was always internal. It was always me. I want to press through this. I want to grow. I want to be more than whatever this trauma is that's in my life. I don't want this to define me. I want it to refine me, and I want it to turn me into a better person.
The whole idea of purpose is about finding meaning. Because I think there's so many people, and maybe it's you out there watching or listening right now, you don't think your life has much meaning. And maybe you've been through some painful things. Maybe you didn't go through sexual abuse like Brittany did, or physical and emotional abuse. You had emotional abuse too, but physical and emotional abuse for me, and other things throughout life. Like that's what happened in childhood for us. But we both have had things happen in adulthood as well. I've lived a little more life than you, so I've got more of those kind of things. And so maybe you've got these things built up. This pain is just so built up, and you're just like, why am I here? What's the meaning? What's the purpose? I don't have one. Dig deep, like dig really deep inside yourself. There is a reason you're here. There is a purpose for you in this world. And my heart just aches for those people, Brittany, who feel like they have to writhe in their pain until the day they die. And it's like, that's not a life. You've already died.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been that person. I've been that person with a big, beautiful house and a wonderful husband and children who love me. I've been that person where I'm just like, I'm right here. I don't understand. And I'm so compassionate about those people who are going through those things, like, because it's such a dark place to get there where you feel like nobody cares about you, you have no purpose in this life. But I'm telling you, you have a purpose in this life. And if I say this another time, you're going to get sick of hearing it. Find me on Instagram, Brittany, or becoming.Brittany Lee. Find me there. DM me. I am always open to chat about absolutely anything. If you're having a hard day, hey, come tell me. If you don't have anybody to celebrate that you just finished that class, or you just did this cool thing, you don't have anybody to celebrate, message me. Come on, message me. I love those kinds of things. If you're having a hard day, you don't have anybody to talk to, please reach out to me. That's literally how Jimmy and I developed our relationship. Like, I needed help with this thing, and then this is how it happened. And I've developed so many organic relationships that way because I just want to be there for those people who are hurting and broken and feel like they don't have anybody, because I was that person.
You know, I have so many people who watch us on our live chat. By the way, live chat, Sundays, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Come join when we premiere these episodes over on YouTube. Go into the live chat. We've had some people in the live chat lately, and even in the comment section and in various places online where we put this, saying, you guys are like my respite. You're like, you're friends. You're the only ones I feel like that get what I'm going through, because people feel all alone. And when you're trying to turn pain into purpose and you feel isolated and alone, that makes it multitudes harder than it needs to be.
Yeah, some of us like to do our things on our own, but sometimes some of us thrive better on our own. But the truth is, we're human beings, and we're meant to be around other human beings, and we're meant to have those relationships with other humans. But sometimes humans are so hurt and broken that they can't even see straight. They don't know how to help anybody else or get through their own stuff and there's almost this selfishness, rightfully so, if I can't begin to help you because I don't know how to help myself.
Well, and I'm just the opposite, by the way. You know the way I am. When I'm hurting, I want to talk. And it makes a weird dynamic between you and me, because when you're hurting really bad, you don't want to talk to anybody, not even me or your husband or nobody. And so when I'm hurting, I'm like, I want all the talking. And it's like nobody seems to be available when I'm at that point in my life. I'm just kidding. You're always there if I need you. So, and other people in my life. But yeah, it's part of this is you need people that can walk alongside of you, because the healing, yeah, you can do some healing on your own and in your own quiet time with yourself. But I think you need other people that kind of have been through what you've been through. Maybe they can empathize with you, what you're going through. You just need to know that somebody gives a damn.
Oh, absolutely. And that, I hate when people are like, find a mentor, because you don't just find one, like that. You just happen across people in your life that mentor you and bring you through. And I can name a few people in my life that have been monumental, and that they say one thing, And I think mentor can even be someone on social media, like someone who just, like Tony Robbins. I love some Tony Robbins. I love when he gets in people's face and he just like, he will snap just so fast and you're like, whoa, that's rude. But then you're like, oh, but you're right. And I need that in my life.
David Goggins is the same way.
Okay, David Goggins. That's a new one. I feel like I've heard the name, but
He's a ex-military, and he's one of those, all right, you think you got stuff going on? Listen to me right now. And he's just like in your face with it. It's awesome. Brene Brown's a little softer. She doesn't really like get right in there, but she says it in a way that you go, oh, yeah. I see what you did there, Brene.
Yes. So, just for example, because I feel like it goes within this, one of the things that I watched of Tony Robbins that just made me fall in love with him was I had played this narrative in my head of, all right, I had a rough childhood, and if I had a better childhood, I would be a better person. That's just what I thought. Well, he was talking to this woman who was talking about her dad. She had the best dad ever. She loved her dad. He loved her unconditionally. He was always there for her. And she's just going on and on about her dad. And Tony Robbins said, and I was like, what? I was like, and it just shocked me for a second. And what he meant was he loved you unconditionally. So you didn't learn what it was like to have to put forth effort in a relationship. And I was like, oh, well, that puts something into perspective that maybe I'm not 100% thankful for what happened to me as a child, but I did learn how to respect a relationship that was, loving and caring, because I didn't have that. And I was like, oh, well, that was different. And so it was just another one of those turn your pain into purpose. She didn't experience the pain from her father that I experienced from my stepfather, but she also was kind of a mess in her relationships. And so she had to turn the fact that she had this loving father, and it wasn't necessarily a pain, but it was a catalyst. She had to turn this into a different kind of purpose in her life. And I was like, that was very interesting. I needed that in my life.
That is interesting, although it kind of sends the wrong message. Hey, let's have our kids have a bad childhood so they become great humans as adults. No, that's not what we're saying here.
No, please don't do that. No.
Yeah, and I sometimes we get caught up in thinking that, okay, I've been through stuff, and so therefore I have a harder hill to climb. But maybe it's because you had stuff go on, it makes it harder. It makes you want to strive, that you pull out that strength from within. I think everybody is capable of finding purpose, and I wonder, everybody goes through like different levels of pain. I can't imagine somebody going through their whole life without any pain whatsoever. Last year is pain.
Yeah.
But like, think about it. Can you find purpose in your life? And I think we've talked about this before, either personally or on the podcast. Can you find purpose and be successful in life if you don't go through pain? And how does that work?
I don't know if people want to hear my opinion on this. My real life experiences say you cannot find purpose in this life without being knocked down and hurt and in pain. People don't just wake up one day and go, I think I'm going to go to the gym today. There's something that pushes them to there. Maybe they don't like something about their body. Maybe they saw somebody else and that hurt their feelings and, look like that, or, weight loss. I didn't just wake up one day and want to lose weight because I was thin. I wanted to lose weight because I was overweight. And so there was pain, and I was carrying all this weight on my body, which was oddly enough physical weight that had manifested from mental and emotional weight from years of trauma. And I had to learn to get through that, and that became my purpose. As I realized, this isn't just weight that I gained because I sit on the couch and do nothing. This is weight that I gained because I'm mentally and emotionally exhausted, and I just needed anything to make me feel better. And at the time, it was food. And talking about the pain I went through in the hospital, that was a really big blow in my life, and it put me super low, one of the lowest that I can remember in my life. But I'm just now at the point where I'm like, I'm ready to fight again. I'm ready to turn this into a story that I get to tell people. Hey, I was here. I almost died, but now I'm here. And so everything that I go through, my relationship with my husband, I just told that story. I feel like in order to push through something, you have to make that choice. And I think pain is, I personally, and that's hard, like, because I don't want to admit that, because I don't want people to go through pain. I don't want people to hurt. But I think to find that deep purpose, you have to have something that just catapults you into the opposite way.
I've been doing a lot of like research into this, like all the successful people and all the people that have some kind of a purpose and meaning in life. They all went through shit. Like it just, and it's not to say that you can't be a good person. It's not to say that you can't have a great life, not full of a lot of pain. But I think in the pain is where you find out who you really are. And when you discover who you really are, it draws things out of you that, but for the pain doing that, you would never know about yourself. And I think sometimes pain puts you in positions that you have to step outside of comfort zones. Maybe you've lived in your whole life, and now that you're out in the open, you're exposed, you're in this pain, you kind of go, well, I'm here already. I might as well go for that thing that I thought was not attainable before. And that's the purpose. And then when you get it, you're like, holy crap, I should have done that a long time ago. So this is finding positivity out of pain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my brain was just going a million miles an hour as you were saying that. I'm trying to find something to hold on to because there were so many different things. It takes, one of them was, it takes vulnerability to be willing to see your pain as something that you went through. And you have to be so vulnerable in order to turn that into a purpose. Like, because you kind of have to share it with people. I think about the big name inventors. Let's talk Thomas Edison. How much pain did that man go through to try to develop this thing that we take for granted these days? Like, it's just something that we take for granted. He created this thing that every single one of us in this world use, every one of us. But how many times did he try and fail and feel pain and like, this sucks and this, I want to give up? And how many times did he say that to himself? We only know the success, but how many times did he have to fail and feel pain in order to get there?
Or the Wright brothers when they were inventing the airplane, or
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln, who lost every single election he ever ran for until he ran for president of the United States and won, and is now beloved as one of the great presidents we had. Like, you've got to look at the big picture of things, that just because you have a setback, even in the midst of seeking out your purpose, that ain't the end. Setbacks are a part of the journey.
I don't know if anybody else does this, but like, I desire to see those stories. They fill me with so much joy. I love watching based on real events movies. Those inspirational, this person got knocked down, told no over and over and over again, but they kept going and now they're this. And I just like, I got goosebumps just talking about it, because like, I want to be that person for somebody. And even if that means I have a really horrible, shitty day and I just have to press through and get through it, I'm just surviving, but I get to the other side. I get to tell somebody, hey, I've been where you are. Don't give up. Don't give up. And I would never be like, oh, well, I did this, so you can do this. No, don't do that to people. Don't do that to people, because you have no idea. But I get to say, I know what you're going through is hard. I know you can't breathe. I know you feel like you're struggling and you're hurting and there's nobody around you. But I promise you, it gets better. I promise you it does. It may take years, and that might be hard to hear. It may take a long time, but it does get better. I've been on both sides of it many times.
Yes. So one aspect of living in pain and not really moving into purpose is it becomes generational. And I know for me, my dad was beat by an alcoholic man. It was my grandfather, his dad, and berated, that kind of led him to that. So you have pain that never ceased the purpose being passed down from generation to generation. And like, that's a part of this equation as well. that we need to talk about. That, well, you're never going to go anywhere in your life because look what happened to your dad, and he never went anywhere in his life, or your mom, or whoever it is in your life that's still stuck in the pain. And I think this is going to sound weird, but some people thrive in the pain because of the familiarity of it all, and they don't really want to get out of that because it would be uncomfortable to leave the thing they've only known.
Oh, absolutely. People thrive in chaos because that is their comfort zone. If you grew up in a household that was stable, then you know what stable looks like, and that's what you crave. If you grew up in a household where your childhood was nothing but turmoil, and that's all that you know, it is your normal, and it is what you crave. And people will biologically like create these things where it's just thing after thing after thing where they create it. They need chaos because that's the only thing that feels comfortable to them, and they've never been exposed to anything that wasn't chaos. I know people in marriages who do this, marriages where their childhood was chaos and that's all they know, and all they know is that mommy and daddy yell at each other, and that's all they know. And so when they in a relationship with their husband or their wife, and they think, oh well, this is what marriage is, because they've never been modeled something different. And so yes, that generational thing gets brought in so much so when you start talking about pain into purpose, because sometimes you have pain that you have no idea where it came from. You have no idea because it wasn't your pain. It was their pain that got pushed onto you.
And they never found purpose in their pain. So they're stuck in pain mode. And then they pass that along to you and say, okay, I couldn't do anything with it. Here, you take it.
It's not funny. It's so not funny.
I literally feel like that with my dad. To this day, in his early 70s, he never found really purpose. He always sought purpose in hard work, sought purpose in people liking him, purpose in everything except purpose and meaning and fruition and things that would matter. He just stayed stuck in that. So he passed it on to me and said, go do something with it. It took me a while. But I've found some now. And I try to infuse that into other people now too.
And I want to warn you, if you go on this path of personal development and you decide to take all of those generational things and you decide to take all of it and grow from it and learn from it and become a better person and find your purpose in life, and you get all the things that you ever dreamed to get, don't be surprised. Oh, my dog's barking. Sorry. Don't be surprised if the people in your life who have not found purpose in their life have a negative reaction to what you're doing. Don't be surprised if they cut you off because they cannot handle that somebody in their life took all of that and made better out of it. I know because I've been there. I got the house. I brought my dreams into fruition. I have the husband. I have all of these things that I've worked so damn hard for, and I facilitate good relationships with my children and my husband. I push so hard in all of those relationships, and people just look in and they just see like it's effortless, like I didn't do anything to deserve this, and they don't want to have a relationship with me because they haven't found it, and it almost calls them out.
Yeah, we did a episode not that long ago called Be the Real You. And it was along the same lines that when you start becoming the real you, turning your pain into this great kind of success and thriving, people are like intimidated. Oh, who do you think you are? La dee da. My dad used to do that, like even when I was my late teens before I went to college. You know, I would start achieving things. I was on the honor roll. I got to be on this academic decathlon team. And rather than being encouraging and everything, he would be like, well, look who thinks they're smart. And I'm like, MFer, I am smart. So what are you talking about? But it's like he couldn't give me credit for that.
I know I've told you the story about my mom who I was very good academically. I pushed myself. I didn't need any external push. Because I needed validation. I needed validation through having good grades. And so
and you were all you were also threatened if you didn't get good grades that there would be bad things. And when we say not good grades, instead of 100, she got a 94 or whatever it was, 97. It was just ridiculous, the standard they kept you under. But keep going.
Yeah, so I remember so much so that day that I was like, hey, look, I've got this really good grade. It was like a 96 or a 97. Like it was like so good. It was such a good grade. And it was my report card. And I think my lowest grade on my report card was a 96. I think that's what it was. And man, did this mess with my perfectionist brain. She was like, no, you can't go out because you don't have straight 100. So that just means you just need more study time. And I was like, okay. So all that hard work that I had done just kind of I just got slapped in the face with, nope, that's not good enough. And so you're not perfect. So you can't do these things. And I think that was along the same lines of what your dad did. I'm like, oh, look at you.
And we wonder why Brittany is anal retentive about perfection today.
Oh goodness, my husband's friend was over yesterday and they were putting something together and tinkering together. And we got to talking about this very thing, this whole pain into purpose thing. And I was talking about, I was sitting on the couch because I had done too much yesterday and I was in pain and I had to stop. And I was like, listen, you don't understand. Like my brain is like, all right, you need to do this and 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 all these things. And my body's like, nah, we're just going to sit here for a minute. So I have to find purpose in just sitting there for a second.
Yes, the spirit was willing, but the body was weak.
Yeah. So I have to, and that's been hard for me because I've always found my purpose in doing this and doing that and going here and going there, doing all the things and being all the things for all the people. And when all of that was kind of stripped from me and where I had set my purpose, when all that was taken away and having to relearn and find a different thing to anchor to and feel a purpose in, man. Oh man, that was a rough journey.
You know what you did in the midst of that yesterday when you were in pain and you couldn't really move even though you wanted to? You went on your stories on Instagram and you put on that visual reminder of the pain you had last year. And you even articulated, I don't remember exactly what you said, but the gist was, look guys, I'm back in my pain again. I don't want to be here, but I know my limitations and this on my body helps me be able to do those things that I know I'm capable of now. And I'm in a much better place. Like you really I was inspired by that watching. And I'm always inspired by your stories because you're my friend and everything, but go follow her, becoming.Brittany Lee, because you do you don't do fluff. Let's just put it that way. If you follow Brittany, you get like real life stuff all the time. And I really enjoyed that. And it was great because it was a visual of, wow, I had pain last year this time. I'm still having lingering pain from time to time now, but I'm pursuing that purpose more than ever before.
Yeah, so now that I've come out of the deep, dark depths in the middle of that pain from last year, I can grasp on to something and I can feel myself pulling through and just pulling myself through. And yes, I put on a belly binder is what I put on. And it was just such a physical reminder of what I went through. And it sucks. But at the same time, I'm looking at it going, I'm alive. I am here. I am not thriving as much as I would like to, but man, I am pushing myself and I'm going and I'm doing whatever I can and I'm not going to let this stop me. I can't let it stop me. I can't stop here. I can't let this be my story that I had a horrific surgery and I just lay down and refuse to do anything else in my life. I can't let that be my story.
You know what a lot of people do is they don't see the incremental shift away from the pain. So the pain's right there on your back. Take a few steps forward. All right. He's not as close. Then the next day, take a few steps forward. He's a little further away. Every day, he's a little further away in the past, in the past, in the past. Now, sometimes something will come at you that makes you go back again and you're closer. But most of the time, you're doing a trajectory away from that pain. And that's how you move forward towards that purpose.
Yeah, so I listened to another podcast called The Mindset Mentor by Rob Dial Jr. And he has this thing that he talks about 1% better every single day. And so after a year of 1% better, it compounds on each other. You're not just 350% better. You're 3,000% better. And so even if you're 1% better every single day and you're trying to get away from that pain and you're trying to find your purpose, and even if you get knocked back, you just start again 1% better every single day. And don't make it this huge thing that you have to stress for. Brittany does this, makes things so big that it really doesn't help. Just 1% better. Listen, I know my downfalls and I'm working through them. And I anchor to that. All right, my why in life is to rise. I'm going to rise above this 1% better every day. If yesterday I got in 5,000 steps, all right, I'm going to get 5,050 steps. Like I'm the 1% better every single day until you're like, whoa, look where I'm at. And we did that, saving money. 1%. Just keep going until you look back and like, wow, look how far I've come.
Yeah, that incrementalism does add up if you stay persistent at it and don't give up right when you're in the midst of heading towards that thriving into your purpose. This was such a good topic, and I'm really glad we hit it. And plus, in light of some things I know you're going through that you've had to endure, this was so apropos, which I'm glad you were able to articulate a lot of things here today, and hopefully I did too, that kind of underscores this. And it's a journey. You're going to have moments when the pain rears its ugly head again, like we said earlier, things that will trigger. And in those moments, you work through them, call a friend, journal, find something enjoyable to do, something to kind of get through it. Because the big picture, the 30,000-foot view that I keep trying to get Miss Thang here to do when she gets in her issues where she's stuck, I'm like, all right, look at the bigger picture. I know you're hurting right now, and I'm here to help talk those things out. But big picture always is the default.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes, this was a great episode. As always, I've smiled through the whole thing because I just get so excited about talking about these things that are so important in people's lives.
Yes. Do you have the schedule in front of you? What are we talking about next week?
I have no idea. I really don't have it in front of me.
We did 6 weeks there ahead of time. So you sent them to me and you're like, okay, Jimmy's got them. And I got them, just not handy to tell you what next week. It'll be a surprise. Have we let you down yet on this show? I think every episode you and I both bring our A game, and today was no exception. So, all right, guys, that is it for this episode of One Step Deeper podcast. So, Jimmy Moore, go check me out online at Living Low Carb Man. That's Brittany Davis. Becoming.Brittany Lee, of course, those are both on Instagram. We are both on Facebook as well, but I'm limited to 5,000 people, and I've been capped at 5,000 for years. And so if they wanted to find you, just Brittany with 2 T's, A-N-Y, Davis, Lee Davis on Facebook if they want to look. Huh?
Good luck. My name is Brittany Davis. Good luck finding me. But yeah, my Facebook, after this, I will create a Facebook page so people can come follow me on a Facebook page. Yes. We'll talk about that next week when I get that up.
Exclusive here today on One Step Deeper. Of course, we are on, we have One Step Deeper podcast over on Instagram. You can follow us there. We do have articles. I put up several this week. You had one up this week over there. And of course, we put the podcast up over there as well. If you'd rather watch this instead of listen, if you listen on the podcast. We also have the One Step Deeper podcast community over on Facebook. So go join there. Well over 700 people there now. And of course, this is the One Step Deeper podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Hello to all of our new listeners. Regardless of where you listen to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Alexa. I was playing it the other day in my house, and I'm like, look, Brittany, we're talking on that. It was cool. Sorry, I'm a podcaster for a long time, but I still think the technology's cool.
It is.
And of course, onestepdeeperpodcast.com is the website. So Brittany, that's it for now. We will see you again next week.
OneStepDeeperPodcast.com.